Are we glitching again? Ugh. No.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
You're good on mine.
My screen is glitched. All right, there we go. Thank you. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my computer. This is annoying. But anyway, hello everyone. So we are the 4th live show of 5. And I don't know how much I have to say today.
Yeah. It's a book, as we say.
It is a book. It is a book. I don't know. There were a couple of scenes that I was like, that scene where she was full on assaulted, or she was just like almost assaulted? That was rough to read.
Yeah. Anytime, I just feel like it's the same thing over and over again, even if they don't necessarily, the men aren't taking quite as far of steps, I think, as Genji, but they're not. The power dynamic is just so skewed towards the men, and it's really upsetting to have to be experiencing this from the perspective of the female characters.
Yeah. I think also with that, it's like that scene was really hard for me to read because it also showed her reactions, or just before we see like them be like, oh, she should be flattered or whatever, and now it's like, no, we saw through all the emotions, which is great to see. I feel like that was really important, but it was really hard to read because you're like, this is a cultural precedent.
Yeah, and the men keep being praised. The male characters are still praised a lot, and like she's trying to humanize them, and I'm just like, they're all like predators in some way. It's just really it's a very different time, I guess. But
yeah,
I appreciate that she's giving us the female perspective, but it's pretty miserable to read.
It is, and I know it doesn't get any better because the course hero summaries, I was like reading it through, and they're a chapter behind because I think, or a chapter ahead, somehow, because they don't count the chapter where Genji dies, and like there's nothing in it. And so I was reading ahead, and I'm like, on accident, I'm like, this is going to happen. It doesn't get any better. So brace yourself. It doesn't get any better.
Oh no. Great. I was really I feel like I enjoyed parts of this section more than I enjoyed the book when Genji was still alive. I really enjoyed getting to know the sisters, but they're literally like dying of grief and stuff because of the men's actions. So I think it's really admirable that the author is portraying the female perspective, but just 1,300 pages of it is really rough to read. I'm not sure that's really necessary in today's day and age.
Yeah, it's definitely a cultural kind of text. Like, it's something that would have been appreciated then. And I feel like as part of it too, it's very, I don't know, it's probably just us being modern readers that were like, and we read a lot of classics, both of us. So we've read enough that we're not like that modern of readers. But to have a book that's so long and I can really sum it up in like 2 sentences, I feel like that's not enough action for me. Some people like that, but I'm like, not me.
I agree. The plot, there isn't really, I mean, the plot is literally just the same, like male predator, praise
generational
on females. Yeah, repeats. Generationally, over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, she makes her point strongly, even though she sometimes undercuts herself. Like, she does make her point, but it's just the fact that people can read it in like at the time and like be really involved in like the love affairs and rooting for people. I just do not. It's kind of like what Tiffany said. I'm not attached to anybody. None of the characters really.
Yeah, it's not something that okay, I'll say it this way. I think I would enjoy it better on a reread because I think I would be more invested on a reread, but I don't think I will ever reread it.
Yeah, I could see, yeah. Because the first time through, we're just experiencing the horror after, and it's almost like a monotonous amount of horror. But the second time through, you could probably distance yourself a bit from that and examine it as like a cultural touchstone. But the first time through, but would we do that? Yeah.
I wouldn't put myself through that, I don't think. I mean, it's going to take a place of honor on my shelves as something I finished.
Yes.
Because that's going to be an accomplishment. But I just feel like it is so, I don't know. I'm one of those people who likes to have positive, like, or be like, okay, yes, it's depressing for a bit, but then it changes. And then like people learn and then they grow from it and it gets better. And that's why Wuthering Heights, I enjoyed at the beginning and then I hated it as it ended because it never changed. And I feel like this is the same thing where it's like, okay, if they can learn from it and grow from it and get better, I will enjoy it. And that's not happening. And it's not going to happen with the last how many pages. So that is where I'm like, if it had that different arc, I would be more prone to reread it because then I could see the growth again. But there isn't any growth, which is the concerning part for me, or the disinteresting part for me.
Yeah, it like the whole culture would need to grow. I feel like it would have to be like a whole shift for the males in viewing the situation. And I guess it is. Isn't it like a historical novel? Like she's writing this 100 years later.
I don't remember.
I feel like I read that somewhere that she's writing it like about 100 years past. So maybe she's reflecting on the past and saying this is what the past was like, and you know, maybe she's making a statement about the present. But yeah, it's rough. It's rough to read.
It is. And it is not I mean, there are happy moments in it, but I feel like every time I get to a happy moment, then I get to another moment where I'm like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Even as I'm really happy to get to know these sisters, everything is terrible for them from there on out, you know?
Yeah, the sisters they were like, I felt them so personally. I'm like, these sisters, I hope they do well. I hope things get better for them. And then it's like, nope.
No.
You know,
like every other woman, no.
Yeah. It's depressing.
It is very depressing.
Yeah.
So that's our thoughts on that.
This whole section is summed up in super short amount of time.
Yeah, 8 minutes. We're done.
If anyone has any thoughts on this section, we'd love to discuss them. We're just kind of, I think at least for me, I'm waffling between, let's just finish the book. That's kind of waffling between that and being like, what do I say?
Yeah. We're over it.
Yeah. So, if anyone is wanting to say anything about the sections, about the characters, let us know, because maybe we'll jump into what we plan to do next year. And then if you want to bring us back to Genji, we're happy to do that. But we'll talk about that for now until we have some things to go off of for that.
Sounds good to me.
That works. Okay. So we were thinking something Jane Austen July related. I know for me, I always wish I had time to read a big Jane Austen book or big Jane Austen related book. And I never do because of this, which I love, but still. So we were thinking, let's see, some of our ideas were what? Belinda and Mansfield Park? Was that one of our pairings we thought of?
Yes. Let me look it up. There was Belinda and Mansfield Park.
I'm not sure which one's better. Belinda, Evelina, Radcliffe's works. I have not read any of those, so I'm happy to read any of them. So if anyone also has any suggestions, please leave us a comment about it or let us know in the chat.
Yeah, we were thinking some kind of pairing would be really fun. So, okay, we talked about pairing Belinda with Mansfield Park or Lady Susan. We talked about The Mysteries of Udolpho with Northanger Abbey. Or Northanger Abbey in a lesser-known book by Anne Radcliffe. Let's see.
There was an option that Tiffany mentioned, which is a Mariah Edgeworth book, which would be possibly paired with Persuasion. I looked it up and it seemed like the themes were like of this really wealthy family that's ridiculous, but the book by Mariah Edgeworth is from the servant's perspective. So that's rack rent / Anai. Because
I think somebody corrected me. I used to say NUI, and somebody was like
NUI. I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Ennui. So I think I know now.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a possibility because I think that's like a duology almost, and it looks like it'd be 500 pages total with Persuasion, because Persuasion is also a short book. So
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards that one, honestly. I'm really excited to read more Mariah Edgeworth because I loved Belinda so much.
I'm good with any of the options. I think it'll be fun. And then at the very least, we can be like, okay, we've read a full Jane Austen related work, whether it's Jane Austen herself or contemporary's work in July. And we can break it up that way. We might not even do it over a full 10 weeks next time, depending on which we pick. So.
Right. Yeah. So let us know if you guys have any preferences, because we are deciding soon so that we can announce it in the next live show.
Maybe we'll put it in the Discord. We can put it in the Discord as a poll if anyone would like to vote on which one you prefer, what pairing. And even if it's like you want to add another one in reflection of that, being like, I would really like to do Pride and Prejudice in this. We'd love to hear your suggestions, because we really like to do Jane Austen related work.
Yes. We want something really fun after this.
Yes. I read Pen Tamar a couple of years ago, or maybe it was only last year. And that one is about an old spinster. And so my cousin Megan and I read it, and it was interesting because it's not like Jane Austen quality in a lot of ways, but it is a contemporary of Jane Austen's reflection on how spinsters were demonized, essentially, and how that was not the appropriate response to women who just never got married. So I'm interested to read anything like that in tandem with a Jane Austen work, because Jane Austen is iconic and classic for us. So
yes, a booktube favorite, and just in general a favorite classic.
Yes. So, well, unfortunately, if Tiffany was here, I think we'd have a lot more to talk about, because Tiffany adds a lot to the discussion. We miss you, Tiffany.
Yes, she's so analytical. It's great. But we're like 12 minutes in. Yes, that's it.
That is it. I mean, I don't have anything else to add, except for the next time we're finishing the rest of it. So that's a positive.
Yes, that is something I'm looking forward to a lot.
Yeah.
Let me see if I had any other notes. Oh yeah, I was really debating with myself as I was reading this. Am I enjoying it now more that Genji is gone? Like, yeah, but then I just took it back because all the males kept doing the same thing. I think, a little more invested in the younger male characters, because they haven't. I don't really like Neo.
Yeah.
But like Kaoru, he's like a little bit more, I guess, he's more of like a romantic, and he doesn't mistreat women as much, but he's still not like somebody we would be proud of looking back with today's modern eyes. But I think for the time, he had a lot of, he was holding himself back from what he could have done. But I think it was literally only because the woman that he really wanted to force himself on was like heavily pregnant. If she hadn't been, he probably would have forced himself on her, which it seems like that's just par for the course at this time. So that's just, not fun to read. But since he did, I'm a little more invested in him.
He's very morally gray. And like, it's like if you put a morally gray character against a completely evil character, he looks a lot better by comparison. That doesn't mean he's good.
Yeah.
But by comparison, at least he's a little bit better. He looks a little more close to white, right? Like on the black to white scale.
That is true.
Yeah, I remember in the hero, of course, hero thing, it was like he doesn't assault her fully or something, and I was like, well, that's one nice way to say it.
Yeah,
there's still a little bit, but not too much.
Ugh. Yeah,
this is now our standard for men in Japan in 1000.
Doesn't this just make you so glad you didn't live then?
Yeah.
Yikes.
I was even thinking.
Yeah.
I was even thinking when I was reading it, I was like, these women are supposed to be so beautiful. But then if they're too beautiful, then they get attacked.
Yeah.
And if they're not beautiful enough, then they don't have any longevity, like any protection after their parents die.
Yeah.
So they must be like in this weird position of, I want to be beautiful, but I also don't want to be seen as like desirable. Like,
yeah.
because they really were at the grasp of anyone who wanted them. They
couldn't
even lock the door.
No, yeah, exactly. There was literally no safety, because if you were just a serving woman, you could be assaulted anytime, as we saw with Neo. He just assumed, oh yeah, if I want to, I can have this person who didn't turn out to be a serving woman. She wasn't, but he thought that she was, and he was just gonna have his way with her. So if you were serving like a working girl, and I'm sure getting pregnant would totally ruin your work life, like they would probably be blamed, for that, because all women are blamed when they're raped in this book.
Yeah. Hi, Pepsi Cola. We are wrapping this up almost. We are, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're just. I did want to say Tiffany was right last time. She was like, I wonder if there's going to be like a competition between Neo and Kaoru, and there is. I mean, they're friends, but they are kind of also competing for the same girl. So yeah,
messed up family. Yeah, so messed up. And it really is just a book about like repeating events. Because like all of the events that happened to Genji's mother are happening now again. And Genji's like family line is like, all the parentage is revealed. All of the kids are just doing the same thing. It's I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, it's just not my cup of tea. And that's all I can settle in that.
Yeah. I guess I'm not really an anti-hero person. Do you like anti-heroes ever?
I think it depends on how it's written. I enjoy an anti-hero book if it's appropriately like they're not a good person, but you're still like seeing them develop. Like Lady Susan's a perfect example of what I think of as an anti-hero. I really enjoy how she's like this evil, conniving woman in the Regency era, but it doesn't condone her actions. It doesn't say, oh, she's so good for stealing another woman's husband. Yay! They don't do that. But it's like, she's like, I don't care. And that's the kind of anti-hero book I like to read, where I'm like, everyone knows they're in the wrong. Everyone's judging them. And they're like, whatever, I'll still be the bad guy. That's my kind of anti-hero book. So,
and in this case, there's a little bit too much praise of the anti-heroes.
Well, they're being treated like a hero, even though they're doing villainous behavior.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem for me comes in.
Well put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually interested to learn more about like the actual historical nature of Japan because of this book, which is a nice touch. I didn't expect to take that out of there, but
I know. Now I kind of want to read a history of Japan.
Yeah, I want to see more about it, but it is hard to be like, we're sympathizing with the people who are abusing those, and the people who are victims. We're supposed to be like, oh, she should have just accepted his love.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if she does accept the love of her attackers, then she gets blamed anyways for doing that by the person she's already pledged to, or her father, or it's a mess either way. Whatever the woman does, she's going to be in the wrong here. And whatever the man does, he's still going to be like upheld as this good person. Everybody still thinks of them as like a good person, a good man. Any little thing that the man does with his money, to help somebody else, he's praised over the moon. And literally any decision a woman makes will get her like, oh, she's so cold, she's faithless, and it's just rough.
Yeah, there really isn't any other option. She's either cheating all the time, or she is a completely cold-hearted, a villainous woman, and there really isn't any in between. And it's like, maybe she just doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's all there is to it.
Yeah. I do have to say thank you to whoever the woman author was of this. Thank you for showing us how awful it was for women. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just wish you'd done it in like 300 pages instead of 1,300 pages.
Yes. This is, I think, one book where I'll say read the abridged version.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like with these big books that we've read, a couple of them I've been like, read the abridged. If people are like, Le Miserable, I'm like, read the abridged. You don't need those extra chapters.
Yeah. Very
we've read the whole thing now. So
I don't even know really. Yes, thank you. It's like I don't even understand why the book is still going, honestly. Because
you haven't heard the next bit. I accidentally read ahead and there's an event.
No. It's coming then. The reason for this whole extra 500
the whole sisters thing is gonna keep playing out.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
I can see why a lot of the books end at like chapter 17 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Do we really need all this extra stuff? I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good classic in the sense of it gives historical context. There are these classics in the world that I do not enjoy, but like Of Mice and Men, I did not enjoy, but I understand the value of it historically in context with like showing a time period in history, showing how people approached the poor or the migrants. Like those were important in Of Mice and Men. Don't enjoy the book. As like a enjoyment level, didn't enjoy it. This is one of those books where I think it's important in like that realm where it shows something of history. It shows something of culture and society, but it's not an enjoyable book for me. So I understand the value level of it like being a classic, but the enjoyment level is not there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly. And with Of Mice and Men, it's probably like 100, 130 pages. Like we can handle it. Way shorter. That's the nice thing.
I felt that way with Gone with the Wind, and I was like, that one was long too. But yeah,
that one also went on too long. I have very little patience with long classics generally. So, except for Belinda, which recently I read and loved. Like this year I read and loved Belinda. That's probably the last long classic that I read and loved.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy some long classics. Like I really enjoyed Le Miserable, but definitely had points where I was like, we don't need everything.
Yeah. But overall, I think I would say the same. With both I've read 2 Victor Hugo books, and both of them, there was parts where I was like, did we need this? But overall, I would say I liked it.
Yeah, I still need to read The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the original, because I've read the abridged, and I did not like it. But I'm like, I'll try the long one and see if I still hate it.
It's beautiful, but yeah, the ending makes you throw it across the room for sure.
Yeah. So, well, I heard Disney was remaking that one into a live action, so I'm like, well, maybe I'll need to read that one before the live action comes out. They're still going to tone down a lot of stuff, but
that's kind of exciting. Okay, now I'm excited.
Yes. Well, I think I don't have anything else to say. We've talked a lot in circles and different things.
I think we did well. 25 minutes. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we're going to have our next year suggestions on Discord. I think I'll make a comment or something with a poll. You can pick which pairing you'd like best. So we have Belinda and Mansfield Park, the Rack Rent duology and Persuasion by Mariah Edgeworth as well. And then we also had, what was the other one? Northanger Abbey and a Radcliffe.
Yes.
So, and if you have another one, let us know and we'll add that to the poll and we'll see what everyone says. So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll have finished the book.
Yes, we can do it. Hang in there, everyone.
Yes, we're almost there. Almost there. So
thank you, Naomi.
Have a good 2 weeks.
Yes,
we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.